Hello everybody and welcome to Monday the 22nd of October 2018 with me, Dakion, and a few minis that I have finished painting. First off, we have this wizard. I forget where he's from. I think it's a Reaper mini. I think it was sorry, I can't remember where it's from. Anyway, I painted him in sort of similar tones. I don't know. I'm trying to convince myself to push the contrast on things like the cloaks. I feel kind of resistant to the idea, but yeah, I have to start looking at things from a tabletop perspective, so that and I'm reasonably happy with how he came out. It's always difficult when you have a lot of things like a leather belt, leather pouch, some scrolls, a leather book, leather-bound book. How do you make them different colors, different varieties of brown? Oh well. Then we have this picture of Hell, and as you can see, I've made her with one living side and one dead side, and on the back you can sort of clearly see the delineation between the still somewhat richly colored part of the cloak and the really worn and faded part of the cloak. And similarly, the metal on the swords, two different swords, should have a different kind of look to them. Much more corroded on the one in the left hand. And yeah, it was a fun project. It was a good one to do. And the third mini I finished this week, I've only managed to finish 3, is the Dracolisk. Now, as I've mentioned, I think it's supposed to be brown scaled, but I could not think of a way to paint just plain brown paint. Like a flat brown color and make that look good. So this is a brown metallic. This is a very dark bronze. Because I started out by painting it just plain bronze, and then I thought, yeah, but metallic dragons are good in D&D, and if it's looks like a bronze dragon, people aren't going to realize it's a monster. So I darkened it down quite a lot, and I hope it's clear now that it's not supposed to be. It still has some shiny bits, but largely dark. I did do one other thing this week, which is take this owlbear and rebase it. This is a Reaper Bones owlbear I painted a while back, and it was just on its integral base. You can still sort of see it. It's the narrow thing in the middle here. I tried to use it in gaming though, and it kept falling over. So I glued it onto a bigger base, and I added some more stuff to it. Some flowers and a cow skull, another one. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to have to do this with more of my previously painted bones. Just you know, I painted a whole slew of these last year. Or was it the year before? And I just speed painted. I just got through it as quickly as possible, so I didn't take the time to rebase them. But I might have to do that in hindsight now. Oh well. It's not too hard to do. It doesn't take all that long. So that is the new stuff that's finished. Now we're going to go on to works in progress, and what will happen is that you will first see a sort of flashback to an early stage of preparation on a certain mini, and then I'll flash forward again to the present day. And I won't mention much in these clips that I'm doing that. You'll just sort of have to figure it out as it goes along.
Just a little side note about something I realized while I was assembling this model, and by the way, there's huge gaps here, as you can see, that I'm going to have to fill. This is going to be green stuff together. But on this horse, they've sculpted a lot of very nice detail, including here on the back, where a bit of the comparison has been ripped, and you can see the ribs of the skeleton horse underneath there. But why did they bother? Because this rider is going to sit like this on top and cover all that up. None of that detail will ever be visible to anybody. Maybe they just didn't tell the sculptor of the horse there was going to be a rider on it. Oh well.
And the Halloween themed figures are coming along. Just mostly the metallics, as usual, per usual, or the first thing I worked on. Just splashed on a few other colors on these to now, hopefully you can start to see some of the detail a bit more. I mean, this guy is mostly metallic. He's really heavily armored. So I'm going to try to shade some of the parts of the armor in slightly different colors to make them look a little bit different. On Eve here, we have more variety in the textures and the types of clothing, so that won't be necessary. Here we have a skeleton king on a skeletal steed. He's just started, just some base coats. Same thing with the bearers here for the throne. And as I mentioned, I'm painting the guy who's going to sit on the throne separately, and he's further along. I put down a first coat of the metallic. It's way too shiny, and this has to be dulled down and dirtied down to look like he's been dead for a long time. And there is, of course, much more to do on this, but yeah, progress is good on these.
So with the chariot, I have not gotten very far. I've simply taken out the pieces and taken a look at them and tried to figure out how they fit together. And they're kind of complex because each horse is at least two pieces. One of them has a loose head somewhere, and not all of them. Some of them have weird bits of metal stuck on them that I don't know what they are. For example, there's a big lump of metal here I have to find some way to cut off, because otherwise I can't fit the pieces together. I'm not sure if this is part of the model or not. And we have the issue with the two. When I fit this part of the chariot together, and then there's the thing that leads to the horses, the angle is all wrong. I'm not sure how this is going to work. And then we have all the riders. There's like, on this small platform, we have 4 minis. 1, 2, all these 4 guys are supposed to be standing on here. And it's going to be really crowded, and obviously I have to paint them separately from the chariot itself, and then sort of glue them in place and hope they stick. I don't know if even pinning is an option here. I mean, clearly I could pin them down. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot to figure out. Just let's leave it at that. And so this is going to take some time. This is not going to be ready for Halloween. I can tell you that much. Oh, and these need to be. Is there? Yeah, I can cut that off. Anyway, what else do I have on my plate? Well, I showed you the Eternal Champion box set. I have gotten no further with that than deciding I don't want to use the normal slot basis. I have pulled out a selection of various resin scenic bases by Micro Studios that I'm going to choose from. I have a bunch of them, and I will cut off the tabs on the minis and pin them to these, is the plan. I just have to figure out which ones work the best. And I need to get the chariot off this work table before I can go on to the Eternal Champion figures. So yeah, that's really sort of enough on my plate, but I might be adding even more. Let's see. And it's time for the unboxing of the week. This was a regular order, not a Kickstarter, placed with Reaper miniatures themselves. And the reason I did that was it was the only way I could get the last few of these Reaper HD paints. Now have the full set. This is the Arctic Grey, Tropical Aqua, Umber Brown, and Jungle Camo. So, but because since I was placing an order all the way from the States anyway, I decided to toss in some stuff I thought I needed, and mostly the new Frost Giants, the ones that were in the Bones 3 Kickstarter. And interestingly, these come without integrated bases, which I actually like. That means I can construct my own base from scratch, completely from scratch, and just pin this figure to it. I like that. So there's the Frost Giant Warrior. There's Frost Giant King. I already have a Frost Giant King, but there's the second one. And I think there's a second Frost Giant Queen as well. This one does come with a scenic base. Interesting. And finally, there's the Frost Giant Bodyguard. I also picked up this figure, the Manticore, because I didn't have a Manticore figure, and it's a standard D&D monster that, I mean, it comes up quite often. Why don't I have a Manticore model? I need a Manticore model. So I got a Manticore model. And also, they threw in the bonus mini because this year, the promotion they're doing is each month they're releasing some new minis from this Dungeons and Delvers, I forget what it's called, a new line anyway, and you get a promotional mini if you place an order above a certain amount. And I got these two kobolds. As a matter of fact, because the Manticore is so important, and I think one of my groups is going to be facing a Manticore pretty soon. So I'm going to put this straight into production, or, you know, start prepping it, and I'll start the kobold. I'll do the kobolds as well, you know, because these are metal, so they're a bit better detailed than the bones kobolds I've painted before. But I'll paint them, you know, in kind of the same fashion, and see if the increased detail of the sculpt is enough to make them look better. Yeah, but that's that so far. We'll put the giants back in the box and leave them for another time. But for now, I'm Dakian. I'm closing out this episode, so click like and subscribe and all that other stuff, and I'll see you in a week. Till then, I'm signing off.